Hey folks, welcome back to another episode of Wray's Garage. Today is a fairly simple DIY if you want to take it on. I'm updating the steering wheel of my 2011 Porsche Boxster Spider with one that is a more matte black finish, specifically in the spokes of the wheel, which on my vehicle are a scratched up silver, and I wanted to switch that out. So between the airbag and some other delicate aspects of this, it's more delicate than it is complicated. Hopefully these instructions help you demystify some of the fear and anxiety and keep you on the straight and narrow. Enjoy the video, and if you like it, please remember to like and subscribe. We sure do appreciate you. So for this project, very minimal tools required, but one of them I would argue potentially specialty. This T55 Torx. I will put the name on the screen of the technical socket bit that is supposed to do this. I had no issues getting it out with this, but if you want to get uber technical, this has 6 splines, and the correct tool would have 12 is my understanding. And I don't have the name of it, like I said, I'll put it on the screen. A little extension for my ratchet, 10 mils in order to get at the battery there, and then some kind of device like a flathead screwdriver in order to get that airbag to release from the underside. And then the last piece is this thread locker, which we will re-put onto the bolt when we reinsert and re-secure the steering wheel down. Straightforward for once. Oh yeah, almost forgot. Some kind of torque tool, as you've probably seen in videos past. If you're a regular viewer, I think I know how to open this. I use this on my 3/8 ratchet, but if you have some kind of torque device, that 37 foot-pounds is how we're going to dial in the pressure when we secure the steering wheel. First up, we're going to disconnect the battery and give it 10-15 minutes so everything powers down. No airbag explosions in the face. Hopefully. Now, safety first. We're gonna rubber glove this. I have my rubber Crocs on. Don't know if you can see those. I have official mechanic shoes now. 10 millimeter on there. Make sure that's in loosen position. We're going to remove that and lift it up. But also you need eye protection is also recommended. Alright, so the car's been powered down for a period of time. I was trying to be super cute and smart about this, and I wanted to turn this around here so I could point this to you, and then I remembered to drain the battery. But before I remembered that, I put my key in there and got my key locked in there. So all kinds of lessons for you here today. There is a way to get that out. There's a little kind of skinny pointy thing down in the fuse box down below. You take off the little tab, turn the key all the way to the left, push that in, and it'll release your key. But I don't really care right now, so I'm not going to worry about that. But if you wanted to, there's a quick tip. Underneath here is a little, you can feel it with your finger, and hopefully you can see where my finger is right there. And mine's never been done before, I can tell, because it's still got whatever this material is kind of blocking that up. And I'm going to pierce through that with this. If yours is already pierced, there's a good chance somebody has already removed this for one reason or another. I have a small flathead screwdriver. Right now I've heard different implements going up in there, but the idea is we point it up through here. It goes into a mechanical switch, or clip I should say, that pushes and releases, where in 4 pieces of the airbag it's attached to the wheel. And yeah, hoping it doesn't blow up. Let's see what happens. And I'm going to go in not in line but perpendicular to the wheel here to hopefully hit that or have a better chance. Alright, we're through here. Just gonna feel around until I feel something that... Whoops, that's not it. Okay, so it's released here. You can see it protruding out. I'm gonna gently remove it. And there you can see the 4 points where it was catching. And then inside of here, you can see the mechanism. There's a spring, and then the 4 corners where these hooks go in. Now I'm gonna remove these 2 plugs and what may be some kind of grounding plug, I'm not sure. But obviously you wanna be super careful and delicate around this piece, given that there's an explosive device in there designed to throw that airbag out and save your life, or at least your looks. Inside of here, we have this spindle that is how the steering wheel locks on. I'm going to release the plug inside of here first before we do that. It has, I think, a 12-sided device or socket, and I don't have one of those, so I'm going to try a Torx bit, and I think it's a T55. I will confirm that shortly. So let's take this away. So these orange clips just pull up. And then they are color-coded. I was gonna say you might need to remember, but they appear color-coded, so shouldn't be a big deal. And then just push this little guy off, I'm assuming. All right. I think the trick is a little bit just getting the pressure in the right spot. There is a little tab or knob inside it. Oh, let me put this down. A little tab in there which was kind of sitting in the hole, and I think it was just a matter of getting that to release. So that's there. I will bring you in closer when we do these other items, making sure you can see. But there is a channel that this sits in. Good expat friend of mine had some real challenges after replacing into his new steering wheel and not getting this channel correctly locked. And like I said, I'll show you in a little while. But if you don't get it in that channel, you're securing the airbag almost too well, because basically what you've done is you've pinched it in. And I understand that the best way to remove that is aggressive knifing techniques, but you'd have to talk to Auto Amateur about that. So that's loose. Down in here is just the connecting piece that comes from the vehicle into the wheel. Let's just remove that gently. It's just a little orange tab at the top, and then you just gently pull it forward, and you will see just a little, looks like an 8-pin connector down in there. So let's see if this Torx thing's gonna work. T55. All right, so the T55 is fitting down in this hole here. So that's a good start, but obviously you want to be delicate when you're not grabbing on all points, but it feels really secure. So I'm going to proceed and try and remove it. If it's been torqued correctly at the 37 foot-pounds, it should not be gorilla tight. Okay, yeah, that's freed up already. You can see a good amount of Loctite on there, or thread locker, so I should say. So I'm going to be putting fresh thread locker on here when we reinstall this rather healthy sized connector or a screw. There is it's actually not aligned on here, curiously. Let me bring you in. So I'm just going to give you a quick orientation of the inside of this, because I think it's helpful to know what you're trying to accomplish. So over here is this channel that the connector to the airbag needs to sit in when you reseat the new set of devices and tools. But this is what I found. This should help visually what's going on in here. So I'm going to poke through the bottom of this steering wheel again, and you can see right here, hopefully, where this is what you're trying to make contact with to push up these 4 bars which hold down. So hopefully you can see that. So that's what you're trying to accomplish, and you're blind to. So once you know that, it makes it easier to, insert your screwdriver the better way, so you have a better opportunity to hit it. And I think arguably you could use a bigger one than the one I used to increase your chances, but either way, I think now you've seen it, you should be able to feel it more easily. What is harder to make out down here is this center line, which sits in the steering wheel, and then it sits on the car itself. And curiously, Let's see if I can get this out of your way. I'm not sure how well you're going to see this, but there's just a ton of splines in here. You can hear those as I move the screwdriver around. It's not perfectly aligned with this metal line that sits on the actual vehicle. The steering wheel one is just probably 2 or 3 of these over to the left. So that gives me some headache, and I think this could be another argument for why if you had your wheel square, you might have an easier time when you put the new one back on, because it will be easier to orient around. But anyway, we will carry on regardless. I'm going to make a mark on here with a pen where I believe the wheel is lined up currently, because I did just have the car aligned, and therefore it should be in a good spot. And maybe there's enough play or slop in the steering to allow for that. But yeah, I don't know. It's definitely 2-3 millimeters to the left of what I would expect. All right, you're going to get bumped around here as I remove this. And that's what lives on the vehicle itself. Oh, that doesn't matter if that turns, I guess. Except for that noise. I don't like that. So this is the old wheel. I am replacing it with an OEM wheel. My understanding is, and the reason that I did this is I really wanted the black, and specifically now the matte black, noticing how much less shine is on this after all the years of use this one's had, and obviously that's a whole lot of DNA in there that isn't my own. So I just couldn't quite come around to the idea that this was the good color combination on a car that's largely black-white with some very minimal red accents. So I went with this unit here, not inexpensive by any stretch, but you touch it every time you get in the car, more or less. So, you know, high value from that standpoint. The innards are identical. Same connectors here, same channel down here, same connector through here, which I'll have to pierce. There you go, you get a better look at this. You see where this hole is underneath, or this indentation right now. It will become a hole once I pierce it. Or I won't need to, because I'm only dropping it in. But that was from earlier on. And then this is the other connector that goes into the vehicle, which I'm assuming feeds the ECU some data and stuff too. Let me know what you think. For me, visually it's going to complete the car. And it's going to go well, I think, with the Racing sphere shift knob I have in there, and I'll put a picture of that up so you can kind of see them next to each other. All right, let's put this guy back on here. You're going to have to get out of the way for a second. Crotch shot coming up. Whatever we have to do for you views, right? All right, let's see. Oh. Well, this got interesting. I think where I have the wheel lock moves this little doohickey here, and therefore, oh no, I can release it. There's a little release right there. Another lesson learned. There's a little spring release. All right, because otherwise I couldn't get this hole in the back here to line up to get it on there. So, bonus, learned something. All right, let's see. Alright, so I am that same couple of millimeters off when it comes to being on center with the center line on the dash here, which makes me a little uncomfortable, but I guess that's just how it's been. So everything else seems to be settling just fine. So I think I'm going to commit. So let's get you back in here so you can see what's going on. So again, in the new unit, here's the channel. We're going to be really careful that sits down in there. Here's the main connector here, so let's try and slot that in. Sorry. So that's it. You hear that clip or click? Feel like that's in there. It's good. Step one. These springs are set. This one a little less securely, but it's on there. It doesn't look like it's going to bounce off for us. So I'm going to connect up the airbag here on these pieces, which you'll see on the camera that way. And yeah, we'll be back down there in a second. Same connector, metal piece, 2 of these orange lock deals. Oh, you know, before we do that, let's secure the wheel down. So I'm going to put some thread locker on here. I'm going to hand thread it to begin with, just because there's a lot of threads on here and it'll go a little quicker, less noisily for you. Okay, so it's getting a little tighter. Not crazy tight, but now I'm going to take out my, set it for 37. All right, 37 foot-pounds. Not sure if you're going to see that, but that's the number. There we go. Okay, so that is secured on there. Sitting within the lock. Okay, back to the airbag part. So orientation wise, your crest here is a pretty good guide, which is straight up. These hooks, for me, counterintuitively face upwards, if that helps you as well. So let's get this connected. It was much easier going on. Let's see here, how's that gonna... Lock that one. So that is all reset in there. This is the moment of truth. There's really no way to see down in here that this here is going down in this channel, but it is rigid enough that I think if you start it correctly, it should just keep rolling down, but those sound like famous last words. Alright, well, it does have some rebound, which would be our horn, which seems largely positive. I think it's time to hook up the battery, see how we did. Alright, let's start it up, try the horn. I think we're square.